Houston rapper Megan Thee Stallion is recovering after being shot over the weekend. She needed surgery to remove the bullets. Yesterday on Instagram, Megan said she was the victim of a crime, though she's not saying who fired those shots. She's expected to make a full recovery.